What's up, everybody? Subaru's fan here for another weekly update. So, many of you last week said that you liked having the news first and then doing the car portion after. So we're going to stick with that formula. Hopefully it continues to work well. So we're just going to hop right into the news here. The first thing is Ford officially confirmed what we've known for a few weeks now, and that is that for 2017, the Shelby GT350 is going to get a few changes. And so the main change is that they're putting the track pack as standard on all the vehicles. Because of that, the base price from the Shelby, you can no longer get a base, non-track pack GT350. So instead of the base price being, 48,000 and change, it's now 56,500 or so, which is basically that track pack just added back on there, including destination. 56,500 bucks is the final result, which is unfortunate. But they said that most people weren't going for the base model anyway, and that everyone wanted either the track pack or the technology package. So they just put that track pack as standard. There also have been some vehicles that have been doing track days without the track package on it, and those cars have been overheating with the transmission not having the coolers the track pack does. So they wanted to go ahead and make it reliable and just make the track pack as standard, which makes a good amount of sense. Another thing they also added on here is that now the convenience package is the new way to get all the technology. There's going to be the convenience package and then the tech package. The tech package now is just going to give you the screen and all those features, and then the convenience package adds on the comfier seats. So if you want to if you want to keep the Recaros, the cloth Recaros, but you want the nicer screen and all that kind of stuff, you can now get that. And so it's cool that they're actually making the options list a little bit better in the way that you can configure them now. The other thing for the Shelby is the new colors that you can now get. So the colors now are the new colors are Grabber Blue, which is making a return for all Mustangs for 2017, in addition to Ruby Red, which is a color that's been around but not for the Shelbys till this year, and then Lightning Blue, which is another brand new color for all 2017 Mustangs. So great to see those. For the Shelbys, they've discontinued Competition Orange. You can't get that any longer, and you can't get Deep Impact Blue either, because both of those colors have also been discontinued for the 2017 Mustang. But great to see that, and great improvements there on the Shelby. Other Ford news is that Ford has announced plans to build a $1.6 billion factory in Mexico, which has upset a lot of people here in America, because it's taking away some jobs from America and sending them to Mexico. And so we already know the Ford Fiesta is already built in Mexico. So this new factory, maybe they'll move Fiesta production there. We also are hearing rumors about a Fiesta-based crossover coming to the States, and so maybe that would be built down there as well. They also said it would be for small car production. So the only other thing is probably the Focus, which is currently built in Michigan. That may end up being built now in Mexico as well. So that's just that's Ford's plan. Ford did back up their move by saying that they employ more people in the auto industry in America than any other car maker. So they say they're a pretty big supporter of the economy. They're just moving this factory to Mexico. So more exciting news is a couple interesting stories from Aston Martin this week. The first that's really going to win a lot of points with the enthusiasts is that the 2017 Aston Martin V12 Vantage S is coming to the US, which is good news on its own, but it's coming with a manual, a 7-speed dogleg manual transmission, which is about as awesome as it gets, really. And so the unfortunate thing is, although it'll be more plentiful in Europe and it'll be a standard option, here in the US, only 100 of them are coming with that option. So if you want one, you better hop on it pretty quickly, but great that they're giving that option. And then another thing is the regular V8 version of the Vantage here for America is getting a little bit of a change. So there's normally the GT trim, which is the base one, and then there's the Vantage S. Both of those are getting discontinued and replaced with a new model called the GTS, which combines elements from both cars and will also be available in 2 different trims, in addition to also being available in a manual as always, and the single clutch automated manual transmission they have as well, the automatic. But for this GTS, there's going to be 2 trims. There's going to be a Sport and a Luxe. The Sport is obviously going to have the sportier of the 2 treatments. The Luxe will have more chrome bits and less harsh suspension and things like that, which is just great to see that they're continuing to bring these cars here. And of course, with Aston Martins, you can customize them like crazy. So anyone that wants to custom tailor them to meet their individual needs can certainly do that. And then the last Aston Martin story this week is that Enterprise has announced that they're going to be officially adding the Aston Martin DB9 and the Rapide S to their rental fleet for their exotic cars that you can rent through there. And there's several other cars you can rent through Enterprise, but the Aston Martins are now joining the fleet, which is great to see and should help Aston Martin's production numbers in addition to, getting more Aston Martins here in the States. So great to see that. It's an awesome brand, so very happy to see them expanding. News from Audi this week is they've updated the A3 and the S3. So as you can see here, they've just refreshed it. It's got a new front bumper, new headlights like all the other current model Audis, and new taillights as well. On the inside, you can actually get the virtual cockpit and even the baby little A3 here, which is a very cool feature. And there's also other things and other improvements within the car as well. But the main big news here for the S3 is it does get a horsepower bump. So for America here, the boost, it used to have 292 horsepower, and now it's going to be 305. Other places are reporting 310, but I believe that's for the European version. And then as far as torque goes, it jumps from 280 pound-feet of torque to 295 pound-feet. So a little bit quicker than the previous generation, and I think there's some nice updates there. It doesn't look that much different, but the improvements they made, I think, are really nice. Other German automaker news is BMW was spied testing their new Z5 Roadster out in Sweden. So it's completely covered in snow. The camouflage is kind of tricky because honestly, it almost looks like it has headlights off an Aston Martin or something with the way those headlights in the front look. It looks like it's going to be a little bit larger than the Z4 possibly. And we know this is the car that is being produced and engineered in partnership with Toyota. Toyota is going to get the new Supra out of this, and it's going to be a hardtop, of course. But the Z4, the BMW version is going to be a Roadster here and could be called the Z5. They're not sure about the name just yet. But very cool to see that. We know the BMW will probably get a series of different 4-cylinder turbocharged engines along with some 6-cylinder turbocharged engines as well, and should be a great performer. Now we're not totally sure when this car is going to be finally arriving. Some people are saying it could be like late 2017, early 2018. Other people are saying it might not be till 2020. So who knows when it's going to be arriving, but it looks like it's getting pretty close to production here. So hopefully we'll be seeing that closer to the end of next year and not super far away in the future. And some great news for Mini this week. Apparently, in the past month, Clubman sales have skyrocketed. And not sure what's going on because Mini was on a downward trend for the first quarter of 2016 here as far as their sales go. But the new Clubman's really turning it around. They said that it's because the Clubman being a little bit bigger and a little less mini is actually opening them up to other markets. And they say people are choosing this over an Audi A3 and stuff like that. And because the Clubman seems a little more upmarket, and the new Mini interiors are really nice. So I think all those factors are what making people go for these, especially now that they have 4 doors. I think before it was just a long 2-door wagon was really kind of quirky. So now having a standard 4 doors is what everyone wants these days, and everyone loves the little crossovers and whatnot. So this is just the ticket for them. So great to see that because Mini's been struggling for a while, and so good to see them hopefully back in a better place now. Another very sweet wagon that was just announced this week is Callaway is now building Corvette Aero wagons this year. And so they showed this last year, and it was just like a concept thing, but now they said they're actually producing it. You can order this, and basically the greatest thing about this is that it's a very easy swap, doesn't require any permanent modifications, and is easily reversible. So if you just want to buy a Corvette, you want the little wagon thing, you can go and have that done. It probably won't be cheap, but you can get it. And then if you decide to sell it down the road and people are like, I don't want a wagon version, you take it off and you're good to go. And I think it looks really sweet, honestly. I think that is awesome. And so very cool. They say it uses all the existing Chevy hardware, so you'll be able to pop the hatch and all that kind of stuff. Just a really cool idea, and so I'm sure Callaway's going to sell a ton of those, and I hope to see one in person someday because that would be very cool. Other cool GM news this week is that the Camaro chief, they've done this in the past, but he said that if you buy a Camaro SS and you take it to the track and it breaks, GM will cover that, which is rare because, with Ford, I think if you even use the burnout mode in a competition atmosphere or the launch control in a competition atmosphere, you could void your warranty just with that alone, which is kind of crazy. And they say, if something breaks, they're not covering it. Chevy, they're pretty confident in their engineering, and they say, we think that the car can stand the abuse of track use. And so they say if your car is stock and you take it to a track and something goes wrong, we will cover it. As far as, mechanicals are concerned, of course. If you go and slam it into a wall, that's a different story. And if it's modified, that also is a different story. They're not going to be covering modified vehicles that are, beyond the OEM specifications. But if you take your stock SS to the track and something goes wrong, they will cover you, which is a very cool move. Awesome and that will apply to the ZL1. That applies to the Corvette and the Z06 as well, I believe. And it goes for the Z28, and it went for the previous generation Z28 as well. But just great to see they're continuing that commitment and that confidence in their product and not penalizing people for enjoying them on a track. And there's an interesting story this week about Peugeot and Citroen possibly coming back to the United States within 10 years. So they laid out a plan this week to their investors, and basically what this plan consists of is first this whole Peugeot and Citroen, their new company is called PSA. And so PSA, their plan is to first have like a ride sharing kind of system using other people's cars and other, I guess, kind of like a zip car. They wouldn't be using Peugeots and Citroens. They would just be using cars currently available in the States. You do a zip car type thing and see how all that goes, just to see if they can be profitable with a mobility kind of solution here in the States. And then if that works, the second step of this plan would be to bring Peugeots and Citroens over only as like zip cars. Only it would be their own company, but a zip car type thing, ride sharing, and that would be the only way you'd be able to drive a Peugeot or Citroen in the States, is they would bring them over and you can rent them. And then if they would get some feedback from that whole thing, and if people liked the Peugeots and Citroens that they were driving here in the States, then Peugeot and Citroen said that they would at that point consider bringing their vehicles over, those brands over, and of course the DS Luxury brand that they have as well, bring all those over to the States. And again, this would be over a 10-year period, so it might not be until 2026 before we actually see these cars for sale, but it's a pretty smart plan. That way, they don't have to invest in dealerships and marketing, all that kind of stuff. They just put the cars out there for ride sharing, see what people think of them, and then if everyone's like, we love these things, we love renting these things or whatever, then they would bring them to the States. So interesting to see. I mean, with the way autonomous technology is going, I don't even know if people are going to be driving cars in 10 years. But if they are, then Peugeot might be there to offer their vehicles for sale. But anyway, cool to see that. Another great thing to see is Lincoln. Apparently, they're getting a ton of interest in the new Continental. They have 40,000 people supposedly signed up that are really interested in buying these cars. And I think Lincoln's made some really good moves here. The Continental, I think, is a vehicle that all the auto buyers these days are looking into, is a large luxury sedan. No one cares about fuel efficient vehicles recently because of the cheap gas prices, and it might be a short term kind of viewpoint, but it seems like a lot of people have been wanting a full size sedan like this for a while, and so people are really excited about the Continental, and I'm sure the new Navigator with its raving reviews on its style will hopefully continue that trend and hopefully help Lincoln to finally fully rebound and turn into another great brand like it once was. So great to see that. Another luxury brand, Bentley, they've announced this week a new update for the Continental GT Speed. It's going to get a little bit of a refinement as far as, the same tweaks in the front and the back that you see on the other Continentals, but it does get a little more horsepower as well. I mean, and it's probably an unnoticeable difference, honestly, because it currently now has 633 horsepower, which is a slight improvement over the 626 it had before. And so it continues to build and build here over the years and add a little bit more each time. It also has an additional 15 pound-feet of torque now for a grand total of 619. And so they said because of these improvements, instead of being 4 seconds 0 to 60 car, it's now 3.9. Big whoop-de-doo. But cool to see that nonetheless, and exciting that they're continuing to improve the Continental here for the States. There also is a new black edition, which, as you can imagine, it gives you a lot of black accents and gives the car more of a stealthier kind of look. So great to see that. And then the last story this week is that Polestar has announced some changes to the Polestar version of the S60 and V60 here for this upcoming year. So they're getting an increase in horsepower, but they're getting rid of the turbocharged 6-cylinder engine and going to the twin-charged Drive E 4-cylinder, which is interesting. So it now has 367 horsepower versus the old motor's 345. But you do lose some torque over the 6-cylinder. So now it's 347 pound-feet versus 369 of the old car, but it is faster. 0 to 60 is now 4.4 seconds for the S60 and 4.5 for the V60, which is all, good improvements. And so, yeah, great to see that. And, it looks like it's going to be mostly unchanged otherwise as far as exterior and things like that go. They've recalibrated the power steering, and it's got some new Brembo slotted brakes. And so cool to see all that stuff, but they said that they're going to be just as rare as the previous Polestars. I think they said something like 265 units still will be coming to the States for next year. So very rare indeed, but there'll be a lot of fun for those 265 owners. So anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. So I'll send it to me in the car. Alright, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the news portion of the weekly update. As far as the channel portion of the weekly update here, well, I have 2 press cars this week, so just a little scheduling overlap, and so I got 2 different cars. The one that I'm currently driving is the 2016 Scion IM with a manual, which is really a cool little car. I mean, for less than $20,000 brand new, as tested here, it's a super fun little thing. I mean, 134 horsepower isn't much, and it's slow. It is slow, but with the manual, it still makes it fun to drive. It's just one of those cars that you can just beat the crap out of, and it takes it all day long because it's a Toyota and it's reliable and all that, but it's still fun. And it's one of those things, what's more fun, driving a slow car fast or a fast car slow? I enjoy both, and so this is definitely the driving a slow car fast type. And but it's great. The handling is actually super good. It's got 225 wide tires, which are wider than the tires on an FRS, and so it actually is a pretty good little handler, and it's really fun to just throw into corners. And I mean, it's front wheel drive and stuff, but still a bunch of fun, and really a great easy car to learn manual on too, for those that are just looking for a first car, want something with a manual or an automatic. Either way, it's great, but I think the manual especially makes this car fun. And so it's really a nice little thing, and it's kind of funny. It's so much fun that I'm choosing to drive this more often than not over the other press car I have this week, which is a 2016 GMC Canyon diesel, and it's a really nice loaded up SLT truck, very comfortable. And really cool to be testing out my first diesel here, and so that's a great truck as well. It's obviously very versatile, and I like that it has the additional torque over the V6 in the Colorado that I reviewed last year. And so yeah, it's a nice thing as well. But I mean, as you guys know, I'm not much of a truck guy, so I'd rather drive a little $20,000 hatchback with a manual around, and so that's just me. But yeah, both cars are great, and so I have a pretty big backlog with the car reviews currently. I'm doing 2 this week. I filmed 2 last week. The BMW was one of the ones that you saw last week, and I filmed the Passat review last week as well. So I got a lot of cars, so it's going to be a while before you see some of these, unfortunately. But sometime late this month, early next month, you'll be seeing all of them. And so yeah, but hopefully you guys enjoy the weekly update. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll just end it with an acceleration. Alrighty, so I'll leave you guys with a nice little acceleration here, like I always do. It's a fun little thing for what it is, I mean, for 134 horsepower, this thing actually is doing a really good job of putting a smile on my face, and shows that you can have fun at any price point. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching the weekly update, and I'll see you next week. Take care.